The Donald Trump Epstein signature. Is it real? Recently, the Democrats in Congress released the infamous Trump Epstein notations that were given to Jeffrey Epstein on his 50th birthday. And Trump immediately files a lawsuit against Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal saying, this is a hoax, fake news, big lie. This is another attempt just to bring down Trump. But is it true? Now, what you're looking at in front of you is the official signature that was placed on the card that was given to Epstein in 2003. This signature is alleged to be President Trump. And what you're seeing to your right is a comparable signature of Donald Trump. What do you guys think? Is this the same signature? I'm not a fool and you're not a fool, and we all know what we're looking at. This is clearly the same signature. Whether or not you believe the signature is Donald Trump's does not mean that Trump is ilk of Jeffrey Epstein. It does not mean Trump's a pedophile that has sex with children. But to deny that signature is Trump's signature is cognitive dissonance. Now, the White House immediately released statements and said it's time for Murdoch to pay up. This is clearly not the president's signature.
The president did not write this letter. He did not sign this letter. And that's why the president's external legal team is aggressively pursuing litigation against the Wall Street Journal, and they will continue to.
Where does this type of lying come from? If the White House just said this is a fabricated document, yes, it's the president's signature, but this document was falsely created. The president's signature was placed on it, but it is not something that the president ever wrote. That is very acceptable, but it's not the president's signature. What makes powerful people lie directly in the face of the whole world? Nope. Nothing to see here. That is not the president's signature. How does this happen? Now, there was a new word, propaganda. It was coined in the early 1600s when Pope Gregory XV became increasingly concerned about the spread of the Protestant religion. And frankly speaking, what this word means is let's create bullshit to achieve the goal that we would like to achieve. Edward Bernays. Who's Edward Bernays? Edward Bernays is the nephew to renowned psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud. And Edward Bernays wrote one of the best books ever written, or maybe the only book ever written, on the subject of propaganda. In Bernays' book, Propaganda, he writes, "We are governed, our minds are molded, our taste formed, our ideas suggested largely by men we have never heard of. These invisible governors, it is they who pull the wires which control the public mind, who harness old social forces and contrive new ways to bind and guide the world." Bernays continues. Now, what I'm about to read is really indicative of how powerful people think, and any powerful person that I've ever studied at any time in history has always learned and understood that the public and what the public thinks is very crucial to not just gaining, but most importantly, maintaining power. The public actions of America's president is staged, managed. Again, staged, managed. The public actions of America's chief executive is staged, managed. What does that mean? That means that everything that the general public is seeing from the American government is something that is managed, planned, talked about, meetings held, agendas set, and then shared with the American public. If a politician is a real leader, he will be able, by the skillful use of propaganda, to lead the people. The skillful use of propaganda to lead the people. Edward Bernays propaganda. Now, there has been this new phrase that everybody has been using in the media and politicians and anyone that wants to call anybody a liar. They have been using a three-word phrase called the big lie. What is the big lie and where does it come from? So where I research it at, I find it taking root in Adolf Hitler's infamous book, Mein Kampf. Adolf Hitler, who's that? That's the guy who first really, with the help of Joseph Goebbels, to spread propaganda all over, not just Germany, but in any country that he was trying to take over and seize power. They famously lied to the Nazi Party, to the populace of Germany, and many other countries and foreign leaders. They even got the American press to print information in their newspapers that wasn't true. In chapter 10 of Adolf Hitler's infamous book, Mein Kampf, he writes of the big lie. In the big lie, there is always a certain force of credibility. The broad masses of a nation more readily fall victim to big lies than they do small lies. They do this because they themselves often tell small lies in little matters, but they would be ashamed to resort to large-scale falsehoods. Even though the facts which prove this to be true may be brought clearly to their minds, even though you're looking at the signature. It's right in your face. They will still doubt and waver and will continue to think that there may be some other explanation. This is how the human brain works, and this is what the elites and the very powerful understand about the masses. In my book, The Don, 36 Rules of the Bosses, I write in Rule 21 to be honorable. But what does it mean to be honorable? Most of the mass public views honorable, as being a dignified, upstanding truth teller. But how do powerful people look at honor? Honor to the powerful simply means to win, and to win by any means necessary. One of the most important things that the mass public can do to survive in the world that is ran by the powerful is to learn how they think. It is very different than how you think. Rule 21, be honorable. Your word is your bond. Whatever your level, be honorable and efficient in dealing with your boss. Your work may require you to be cunning and cutthroat, but in the eyes of the boss, you must be a man of honor. If you are a pickpocket, don't be seen as such. As you slip your hand into a man's pocket, taking his wallet and watch, do it with a smile. Your reality doesn't matter. Be a pimp or be a thief. If you smile as you work, people will like you. The truth of a man yields a meager dividend. You will always get more out of a good facade. So, what is the moral of the story? Do not be deceived by what you see. When you see something powerful, approach it with caution. As Edward Bernays said in Propaganda, everything that you see is staged, managed. As it is written in Mein Kampf, the big lie is very efficient in getting things done because the mass public does not think somebody would tell such a colossal lie. And as I write in my book, The Don, you can be a thief, a pimp, and a pickpocket. It doesn't matter as long as your boss doesn't know. Be very careful with these people. Nothing is real that you see that comes from the powerful. It's a stage. It's all staged, managed. What do you guys think? I'm RJ Roger. I am the author of The Don, 36 Rules of the Bosses. It is in stores now. Please support the book. Peace and love, and I'll see you next week.